Hi, so this is Ashley, and I'm going to be talking about good design versus bad design. And first, to start off, I just wanted to give you some context to myself, is that I am a first-year health teacher with 7th, 8th, and 9th grade students, and I'm in this class in order to get another certificate as well as my license in computer keyboarding and related technology applications. And so the kind of experiences that I've had is mostly as a student with online learning environments, and I've had really good experiences, and I don't think I've really had a bad experience. It's just I've heard of bad experiences, and I think it kind of can go either way. They're either a really good online class, like the last couple that I've had for this program, these two programs that I'm in, which really get you to think and really expect you to be involved in conversations with the people that are in your class, and it feels almost better being able to really word out what you want to say and have deep conversations and deep thoughts online, as we're sometimes in class where you try and have a discussion and no one says anything because they're too scared that they might be wrong or just can't formulate a thought that is well thought out as you can when you can re-record it multiple times or type it up, one of the two. And as a teacher, I just really like to try and incorporate technology when I can in order to give my classroom kind of that transformational feel. I really want to move away from the classroom being based around me and my knowledge and more around helping my students to learn and me just being a facilitator of their learning. So to get started, I'm going to go with bad first. The first bad one I thought was not being relevant to students, and I think this was alluded to in both the video and the articles, in that if you're using textbooks that are 10 plus years old, students can't relate to it anymore, especially not younger students, because they don't care that the content might still be okay. It's that everything's outdated, and it's like, I wasn't even born when this book was made, and that kind of stuff. I recently got this teaching job, and I was going through the old teacher's stuff, and she had stuff from, it was a first aid thing from 1982. And first of all, that's older than me, and second of all, they just changed first aid again for CPR, I think either this year or last year, so it's definitely not current or up to date, and the students would not be able to relate to it because it's just so old. I don't even think I could relate to it because it was an older text. So not being relevant and not being, I can't think of the word that they used a lot in the text, but not being something that students can relate to. The second thing that I thought for bad design was teacher-driven learning, or teachers talking at students. So this is what I grew up experiencing, is the teacher-driven learning, and really the teacher has all the knowledge, they share it with you, and then you try and recall all of that information later on a unit test or exam. And it's just not a way that leads to authentic learning, and I think that's the word that I was trying to use for the not relevant to students. It's not authentic material anymore. It's not something that students can see a point to, kind of a thing, and I think that these two bad points that I have are very tied together, because teacher-driven isn't relevant to students at all, because it's all about what this teacher knows and it's not about what the students know. So on a positive note, some of the good things that I came up with are self-narrative of learning experiences. So moving away from the teacher-driven learning and talking more about having learning experiences in the classroom is wonderful. What makes it even more wonderful is having a self-narrative. The students write themselves about what they just experienced. I just did this somewhat in one of my classes with my 9th graders. I didn't use any technology for it, but I did a lesson on disabilities, and we did a few different simulations to simulate like dyslexia and being hearing impaired and having fine motor coordination skill disability. And at the end of the lesson, I asked them to write a 5-sentence paragraph about their experience. Like, what would it be like if you actually had one of these disabilities? How hard do you think school and life would be? And I was so impressed and happy to see what these kids came up with from giving them an authentic learning experience instead of me just telling them about how hard it is to have a disability. Just letting them experience how hard it was to do just simple things, how much harder they had to listen in order to hear the spelling test that I was giving them. And I think that just goes to show how students can really amaze you when you give them a learning experience and let them reflect on it, because we do that all the time in our lives. Like he was saying in the video, was that you have a really awesome experience, and what do you call someone, you write it in your journal, whatever it may be, and you are able to reflect, and you a lot of times can get a lot of things out of stuff that you didn't even realize at the moment until you're actually sitting down and writing and thinking about it. And I think that's also what happened in my disabilities lesson, is some of the things that the kids got out of it were things I never alluded to, that I never even mentioned, and they're bringing up like quotes that I have posted around my classroom, and it was just awesome to see that by giving them a learning experience, they got so much more out of it than just me saying, here, this is the different types of disabilities, and this is how people who have them feel. And the last one is designing as a learner. I do this so much in my classroom, probably because I still am a learner. I mean, I will always be a learner, but I'm so fresh out of not just my undergrad, but high school was only 5 years ago. I can remember that pretty well. And so I make sure that I bring up the point that, hey, this is not just my classroom. This class is for you. This is to benefit you in the future. It's not, I don't need this. I spent the last 4 years doing it. I understand this stuff. Who needs to understand this is you. So I ask for a lot of input. And I think the other point that goes with designing as a learner is the point that he made in the video at the end, was that if you wouldn't want to or wouldn't be inspired or motivated by the program that you're trying to give out to other people, you shouldn't be giving it out to anyone else. Because if you're not excited about it and you're not motivated to learn about it using whatever program you've designed or whatever lesson you've planned, then don't use it. Because if you're not excited, no one's going to be excited about it. And I just thought that was a really good point, and I think it's really something that I'm trying to do. I try and get their input about, hey, this isn't working, what should we do to fix it? Because they know what works for them. I'm not a mind reader, I don't know these things. And so I think just having a learner's perspective in mind when you're designing lesson plans, when you're designing an online learning program, and I think that's a really great thing to try. So those are my good and bad design points. Thanks for listening.